Hi all, this is Shali from Tally Solutions. I welcome you all to today's webinar on inventory. This is the second session of 4 sessions. In the first session, we covered all those aspects needed to get a business started and productive on Tally regarding installation of Tally, activation of license, creation of company, ledger accounts, usage of vouchers, bill by bill tracking, and finally regarding financial reporting. Trust that you completed the review exercise that were handed over at the end of part 1. This session and the others in the series are scheduled for 3 hours. At the end of each session, you will get a session handout that will contain simple exercise that you are expected to complete before we start off the next session. Today, we will cover 2 parts. First is the essential aspects on inventory in Tally and then movement of inventory, which includes purchase and sale. We will also set up a new tax called VAT for value added tax as well. At the end of session, you will be able to accomplish these: activating the inventory features in Tally, understanding unit of measure including compound units like 1 dozen is equal to 12, inventory grouping which helps management and analysis. We then learn with the basics of item creation options like part number. We then get familiar with sales and purchase without using tax, as there are many small businesses that do not need VAT. We then set up VAT. Then sell and purchase, this time with VAT enabled. Later, stock journals. Finally, we close with a review of the essential inventory report. Let us first revert to the Acme Traders, our exercise company, which we have created in the first session, and activate inventory as displayed on the screen. To alter this company, press Alt F3 from Gateway of Tally and select Alter option. Here, change Maintain to Accounts with Inventory and save. This is a good time to introduce a shortcut key. Instead of pressing the entire key so many times to reach the end of the form, just press Ctrl A, which is a shortcut for Accept. This key works across Tally and is a greater time saver. When you return to Gateway of Tally, you will see the inventory features enabled. This is also a great example of the implementation capability of Tally. Use as much of the immense power of Tally as and when you need it. Hide away features that you do not use, confident that they can be activated at the toggle of a setting. Now, let's move on to unit of measure. That is nothing but UOM. Normally, stock items are purchased or sold on the basis of quantity. The quantity is measured by units, hence it is necessary to create unit of measure. You can have simple units such as numbers, meters, kilograms, and pieces, or compound units like box of 10 pieces. Tally makes no assumption of the business you may be in, therefore there are no predefined units. We must define the units that make sense to our business. They come in 2 types, simple and compound. First, let us create a few simple units as seen on the screen. Navigate to Inventory Setup from Gateway of Tally, Inventory Info, select Unit of Measure, Create. Here, the screen shows you some example, how to create simple unit and how to create compound unit. Now, let's create a simple unit as given in the screen. Say we'll create number of printers, kg of price, grams of gold, bundle of PD. Make sure you set the number of decimal places as per your need. For example, number normally does not have a decimal, but if you are a bakery and sell half loaves of bread, you may want to set the decimal to 1. Now, we are done with the simple unit of measure. Let's create compound unit. Where here 1 gross is equal to 12 dozen. Here where 1 dozen is equal to 12 numbers of eggs. We'll just create a simple compound unit now. Let's create a simple compound unit. First you need to create a simple unit and then connect with the formula for compound unit. Say I'll just create a gross with gross of 12 dozen. Let's create a simple unit to configure that as compound unit. Here you can see, here we are done with 1 gross of 12 dozen. And now where 1 dozen is equal to 12 numbers of egg. Let's say we'll select here dozen of 12 numbers. Here similarly, you can create other compound unit as candy is equal to 365 kg. And the third compound unit, you can create it as 1 kilometer is equal to 1000 meters. And again you can configure the create a compound unit as 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeter. And then create a item called cable. This screen shows you some example. Now let's move on to stock group and understand what is stock group and why it is used. Like accounting had groups, remember sundry debtors, expenses group. From accounts, we can group inventory into manageable groups and subgroups. This helps to better analyze and manage inventory. As we proceed, we will see the advantages. For now, let us create a few groups as per the illustration. We first create the primary groups, dry fruits under primary. For now, ignore the can quantities of items be added? So, no. Say dry fruits. Under primary, let this option be no. And imported dry fruits. Under dry fruits, let this option be no. And now Indian dry fruits. Under dry fruits, let this option quantities of items be added be no. Now we are done with the first stock group creation. That we have created imported dry fruits under the group dry fruit and Indian dry fruit under the group dry fruits. Whereas this dry fruit is under the main stock group primary. Here, similarly we will create the other stock groups. Boards, under boards we just create subgroups as plywood, MDF, blockboard and softboard. Blockboard under board, and now finally soft board under board. Now let us create the third stock group. Here we don't have any subgroup, so we are just creating this beading under primary. And then cotton under primary. Whereas this also doesn't have any subgroup. Now we are done with the stock group creation. Now let us create a few stock items and run through some of the settings. We will progressively cover all the settings. Example, some get covered in advanced sales and purchase session, and later we will focus on a very limited set, and for many business these are adequate. Let's navigate to inventory info. From gateway of Tally, let's move on to inventory info, stock item, create. Here let us press F12. This is the standard button to configure any screen in Tally. So now, make the setting as shown on the screen. As been told before, Tally can be configured to enable features as per your need at any time. Let's enable this option. Use part numbers for stock item to S as per the illustration. Now we have enabled the option. Let us review the elements on screen with respect to an example. The name is the product name as we normally call it, and what is printed by default. The part number is typically the barcode. Under is the inventory group, and units is the unit of measure for the item. Leave rate of duty as 0. The opening balance is the stock in hand that is already present at the time of item creation. This can be left blank and filled up later as well once the correct opening stock is known. Let us create a few stock items as shown on the screen. Notice that for one item we do not have a part number, and for BDs we do not have a group. So we set it under primary. We can add a group and regroup anytime later. Let's create as per the illustration in Tally. Now let's have a product walkthrough. Say first item is 19 mm plywood. Here part number was 85955741021110. Under the group, it was plywood. Let's create a group by pressing Alt from the stock item creation screen. layout. We have already created the group, so we can just select it from the list of stock groups and select the unit of measure as square feet. We don't have unit of measure as square feet, so we just create by pressing Alt C. It is a simple unit, square feet. Now, we are done with the first stock item creation. Let's move on to raw cotton. This doesn't have any part number. It is grouped under cotton. Unit of measure as candy. Doesn't have any part here. It's under the group cotton and unit of measure as candy. And the third item, one is beading. It has a part number and we just group it under beading and unit of measure will be gross. Now, the fourth item, BDs. It has a part number and it doesn't have any stock group and its unit of measure is bundle. Now, we are done with the stock item creation as per the illustration. Now, we will shift our attention now to purchase. As you can see from the screen, the complete purchase process has several stages. This complete process will be covered in Grade B in a dedicated session. Except for the purchase invoice, all other documents are optional and there are many businesses who do not use any of them or may use some of them. Tally supports a user from using only those stages he requires and does not force a rigid flow. Let us make a purchase to get a feel. We will only be learning the purchase invoice today since Tally follows a very consistent user experience. You should be able to use the other documents as well, but we will leave them for now. Let us ensure that purchase order feature is turned off. From Gateway of Tally, press F11. Select Inventory Features. Here, turn off the option Order Processing. That is, allow purchase order processing to no. Tally is at its heart a financial software. As we say, under code Tally speaks money. If you remember from the last session, we made a purchase also without having inventory enabled. This means we can record financial transactions without recording inventory transaction. Once we enable inventory, we can still make an accounts only voucher. We can also make an invoice that lists the items purchased. In this case, inventory goes up, and at the same time, the accounting voucher is also recorded. To switch between these two forms, we have the Alt-I button. Toggling this button will switch between accounts invoice and item invoice mode. Another option is the display format. The as voucher shifts the display to look like an accounts voucher. The as invoice shifts the display to look like a typical bill format. Once we have entered our first purchase voucher, we will review the voucher and toggle this button to see the behavior change. Keep in mind that the buttons do not show the current status. They show the toggle status. So if the Alt-I button shows accounts invoice, it means that the mode is item invoice, and pressing the button will change the mode to accounts invoice. Let us make our first purchase invoice in item invoice mode. As per the screen you see. Some of the screens are self-explanatory. Let us focus on the less obvious one. The purchase ledger is the accounting ledger need to record the purchase. We had created this ledger simply called purchase under purchase account group and will use that here. We next enter the item, the quantity and rate. You will observe the amount is editable. This may look odd at first since the figure is calculated as quantity into rate. The reason is that the seller may have manually put some other feature in his bill, say 2,74,750, and you want to record a purchase as per the bill received. Note that it is small things like this that endear Tally to the business community. The design that Tally will blend according to your needs instead of you being forced to operate as per the software. Let us have a product walkthrough now. Let's go to accounting voucher from gateway of Tally and press F9. Currently we are in a voucher mode. See here, all control V option is highlighted as invoice. So we just click on this. So it will take us to invoice mode. And here it is display name of item. Just we call it as a inventory mode. If you press Alt-I, accounts invoice, it will take you to accounts invoice mode. Now we'll just record the transaction as per item invoice in the illustration. Let's select the party, supplier A. Let's create unit as kg. Let's give a quantity 499.55. 499.95 at the rate of 550. Here, why it is taking us 500? This is specified 499.55 because here we have not given the number of decimals. So I'll just give it to 2. So I'll be able to configure the unit for the quantity 499.95. Now I'll specify the rate as 550. Here you can select the purchase ledger, or here you can press F12 and enable this option. Use common ledger account for item allocation to yes. So once after the selection of party, it will prompt for the purchase ledger. You can select here or else in the accounting detail screen. Both are similar. And save this voucher. Now let us create another invoice. This time we will purchase beadings. The quantity of purchase is 1 gross 4 dozen. We will see how to create the compound unit of measure. In this case, it is 1 gross 4 dozen, and Tally will show it as 1 gross 1 hyphen gross. Let us see how to create that one. I'll select the same party, purchase ledger. I'll just purchase beadings. I'll create a new item, beading. I'll just create a unit of measure, compound unit of measure. I'll just specify as 1 gross of 4 dozen. Here, when I specify quantity as 1, Tally will take it as 1 hyphen 0 gross at the given rate. This is how compound units work in the invoice. We'll save the entry. We will shift our attention now to sales. As you can see from the screen, the complete sales process also has several stages. Again, this complete process will be covered in great detail in a dedicated session. Expect for the sales invoice, all other documents are optional, and there are many businesses who do not use any of them or may use some of them. Tally supports a user from using only those stages he requires and does not force a rigid flow. Let us now make a sale to get a feel. We will only be learning the sales invoice today since Tally follows a very consistent user experience. You should be able to use the other documents as well, but we will leave them for now. Ensure that the sales order feature is turned off on F11, F2 inventory features. Now that you have done purchase, you will be able to create sales invoice with complete ease. The process is completely similar. Select the buyer. It's under sundry data. And let's create a sales ledger and a sales group. And select the item. And make a sale of 200 quantity at the rate of 600. It is similar to purchase invoice, what we recorded previously. The same settings are available in sales as well. Let us sell some goods, the same ones we purchased to customer A and B. See screen for more details. Let's pass the sales invoice with item invoice mode. Say, we made a sale on 1st of April 2014. 200 grams of badam at 650 to customer A, right? We just already recorded a transaction. And now we'll just record another transaction. We are making a sale of beadings and we sell 6 dozen at 75 to customer B. We'll enable this option, maintain balance of bill by bill to yes. And select the sales item. Here, let's select the item beadings. Here you can see, previously for beading, we have created 1 gross is equal to 4 dozen. Whereas here, it means 1 gross is equal to 6 dozen, right? So what we'll do, we'll just create a item called beadings and create a compound unit. Here we don't have gross of 6 dozen. So we'll just create a new compound unit. Say 1 gross of 6 dozen. Here we'll just give quantity as 1. So it will pick as 6 dozen. Why? Because 1 gross is equal to 6 dozen. Once if we specify the quantity as 1, it will pick dozen automatically. So if you require these changes, you need to enable the option show compound unit of item based on rate to yes. So what will happen? If you give the quantity as 1, say 1 gross, Tally will internally consider as 6 dozen and it will give the output. Similarly, I'll just give the rate as 75. Here you can see, based on rate, it is converting. So here, if I change it to dozen, Tally will change the quantity to 6 dozen based on the rate. If I change it to gross, it will change it to gross. That is 1-0. Here I just want it on dozen, so I'll just give it as dozen. Here you can see, right? On 1st April sale, 6 dozen beadings at 75 to customer B. So I'm just making a sale on 1st of April to customer B, quantity of 6 dozen at the rate of 75. Now let's save this entry. Now we will make an accounting invoice. Let us say that you have made a mistake in the selling price of badam. It should have been 660 and not 650. Your customer agrees to pay the difference of 2000 provided you provide an invoice. Now let's shift to accounts invoice mode. That is as voucher. This is accounts invoice. Let's click on accounts invoice all time. It has changed it to invoice mode. And now we'll just click on as voucher. And we'll just change the voucher to voucher mode as per the illustration. Now here we'll debit the customer A and credit sales, where the customer has agreed to pay 2000. And we'll credit the sales invoice. So here, if you want, you can select the item. Badam. Here no need of selecting the item because he is just making a payment of extra 2000 previously for which he has paid 650 and now he has to pay 660, the difference of 2000. So here we'll just credit the sales of 2000. If you require, if you want to pass the sales in accounts invoice, there is a voucher mode by selecting the item, you can select the item here. Whereas we are just recording a sales transaction only for the accounting of difference of 2000. We'll save the voucher now. This is how we account the difference of sales in a voucher mode in double entry mode. Clear? Now, it might make sense to spend a few minutes to review VAT from a concept perspective. The upcoming GST also works in the same way. Study the illustration carefully. When we purchase, we pay VAT. This we record as a credit, considering as prepaid. When we sell, we charge VAT. We pay the government the difference between what we collected and what we had prepaid. In the example, difference is rupees 11. Right? We will observe from the last session that we added a value of rupees 200. Let's see how. The value we added is by stocking, selling and servicing the customer. The government wants to charge tax on the value added. Here, 5.5% of 200 is also rupees 11. This is the reason it is called value added tax, and this is the computation method. By now, you should be familiar with the general process. Let us enable VAT. Where do we find the setting? VAT is a statutory feature. So this should be available from Gateway of Tally, F11, Statutory and Taxation. Enable the option Value Added Tax to Yes. Here enable the option Set Total Value Details to Yes and select your state. Accepted. Leave other options as it is. Press Ctrl A to accept. Remember, this is the shortcut key to accept any form. Now, what's next? We need to create the VAT ledger accounts, both for input VAT and output VAT for purchase and sales transaction. Let's create the input VAT as per the illustration. Just look at the illustration on the screen. Create the input VAT and output VAT ledger that are used in your state. Let us go to Statutory Info Report and have a look at VAT classification. For that, go to Display, Statutory Info, VAT classification. Please notice, these VAT classifications are state specific as per the statutory norms, which accordingly need to be selected in the tax ledger creation. Now, let us create the input VAT ledger. This is a tax ledger which we are creating for the purchase. Say input VAT at the rate of 5.5% and the duties and taxes. So let us select type of duty tax as VAT and VAT subtype as input VAT and select VAT of tax class as input VAT at the rate of 5.5%. Let's accept. Now let's create the main purchase ledger. Purchase at 5.5 under purchase account. Here, let's enable the option using VAT returns to yes and select the purchase VAT classification. Based on this purchase ledger VAT classification selection, the input VAT will get calculated in the entry level. Now, let us create our first VAT purchase voucher. For that, let's go to Accounting Voucher, press F9 and press Ctrl V for Invoice Mode and press Alt I for Item Invoice. Let's select the party, supplier A, and select the purchase ledger which we have created for 5.5%. Now let us make a purchase as shown on the screen. You will observe a few important things. The cursor skips the VAT classification, right? This part will be covered in the detailed section on sales and purchase. Setting the class instructs Tally to automatically set the VAT ledgers and to compute the VAT amount. Later we select the item. We will create a new item. And give the quantity as 500 and rate as 500. Here, we must manually select the VAT ledger account. In this case, input VAT 5.5%. We can also manually calculate the VAT amount. Note that we can use the inbuilt calculator in Tally by pressing Alt-C in an amount field to access the calculator. Tally fills the answer directly into the amount field. Here, many businesses prefer this mode since it is similar to the manual system of making a bill. Once you have saved this transaction, now make a VAT sales transaction to customer A. Select the same product and quantity shown above and change the rate to 600 per kg. Let's press F8 for sales. Select the party. Customer A, and let's create a sales ledger 5.5% by pressing Alt-C, a shortcut key to create the ledger. Let's select the VAT classification, sales at 5.5%, and select the same item. We'll sell 500 quantity at the rate of 600. Here, let's select output VAT ledger. Under duties and taxes group, it should be grouped, and select type of duty as VAT and VAT subtype as output VAT, and VAT tax class as output VAT at the rate 5.5%. Here you can see, assume the accessible value of the item is 3 lakh, right? It will calculate 5.5%. Correct? It's 16,500. Tally automatically calculates this VAT amount properly. Once you have saved this transaction, go to Gateway of Tally, Display, select Statutory Report, VAT computation will appear. See both these transactions and the VAT payable as well. Here, the output VAT at rate 5.5% is 16,500 and input VAT is 13,750. And the VAT payable is 2,750. Tally will automatically compute the VAT payable based on the difference of input VAT and output VAT. We will now turn our attention to many reports available in Tally that help the management in taking business decisions. There are many reports and many configurations and variations possible. However, as this is a course that focuses on the basic essentials, we will look at only a few. The sample company we have created and used has a little data for meaningful reports. We can shift to a sample company that has much more data. We will look at only the reports listed on the screen, that is stock item view, stock group summary, stock query, sales register, and finally purchase register. We often business owner needs to look at the transactions done for an item. So stock item view report is available in Tally. For that, navigate to display, inventory books and stock item. Select the item in this case. You will see a monthly summary of inward and outward. Press enter on any month to see details. You will see details for that month. Let us now introduce you to the power of F2 period. When you press F2, you will get a change period box. The from and to will be filled with the month beginning and month end date. You can select any starting date of your choice. If you press escape on form, the date is blanked out. This means from the beginning of the period that is currently loaded. In our case, this means 1st April 2014. In the same way, if you press escape on to, the date blanks out and means till the end of the period. In our case, it is 31st March 2015. As the financial period is 1st April 2014 to 31st March 2015. Now, pressing enter on any transaction takes you to the actual voucher. This is called drill down, and this capability is available in all reports in Tally. You can then make changes if needed in the transaction, and when you come back to the report after making the changes, the report will change automatically to include the changes done. This capability is one of the most powerful and useful features of Tally, allowing people to make mistakes knowing that they can make any corrections whenever they come to know if these mistakes. Let's press F7, show profit, to see the gross margin. Here the gross profit was 15,000. Another quick key is the F4 item button. You will find this button in many reports. Pressing F4, now select any other item. You will see that the same settings are written for another item selected. This is another powerful time saver when you need to view the same report for multiple items. Now, this is group summary. Again, from display, inventory books, group summary, shown summary details of items in a group. Let's see. Here it shows the stock item group which we have created. Here we have created the stock item before under dry fruits. We have created imported and Indian dry fruit side. Next, we have not recorded any transaction for those dry fruits subgroups which we have created. So let's enable the option show all items include zero balance as well as exclude item with no transaction to yes. So what will happen? The stock group will be displayed. Let's say I'll just give I'll just select the stock item which has a group and which we have recorded transaction. Say beading. Here you can see this one is beading is created under the stock group beading. So this stock group beading, when you drill down to that, the particular stock item which you have created will be displayed. This is very useful in case you need to look at the status in a product category or look for alternative items or buy in one lot for similar item. You can see how the drill down feature works here as well as the F2 and F4 buttons. Here we have not created any stock item under this group, so it will not be displayed. You can just create a stock item under those groups and press F4. So the particular stock item will be displayed for the particular stock group. The next report is one that is immensely powerful, showing a 360-degree view of an item. This is called the stock query report. Let's navigate from Gateway of Tally to view the report. Go to Display, Statement of Inventory, Stock Query, and select the item. You see a cost of information. Let us review this one by one. The first box on the top left shows a quick summary. Helps you to quickly decide how much you can sell and what is your current cost. And the second box on top right shows you the investment that is being held in this item. An important decision point on a strategy to sell, hold or buy more. The purchase box shows the purchase history, that is from your purchase, what quantity and at what rate as well as other purchases are made. You can use this information to call up suppliers and negotiate better prices. The sales box shows the same information on the selling side. You can see how quickly the material is moving and who are your regular buyers. The item in the same category helps you understand how item stands in relation to other items. This report is also available directly from within all sales and purchase documents, helping you take instant decisions. Now, from Gateway of Tally, let's move on to Display, Accounts Book, Sales Register. You can see the register of all sales made. Click on any month and press F5 column now. In this option box that appears, accept the defaults you see. Remember all day, accept shortcut key so that you need not press multiple enter keys. You will instantly see the columnar report that a business owner is familiar with. This is one report that takes a huge amount of time to prepare manually. This book is also needed to be maintained sanitarily. In the same way, You can see the purchase register also. Let's go to display, accounts book, purchase register, drill down to animals and press F5 column now. Press Ctrl A and here you can view the report within a blink of an eye. Today, we understood a rather wide-angle view of Tally, touching upon a very small set of features, their capabilities and business benefits too. For many people starting out for the first time with Tally, these are essential aspects that you must cover in a demo, as well as in the first implementation of Tally. For smaller business, Part 1 and Part 2 cover almost everything that they will need. We also touched upon some of Tally's quick key shortcuts as well as explained some of the navigation elements. Remember that these are consistent right across Tally. Do not forget to point these out to your prospect or customer. It is important that you are there to guide them as and when these requirements come up. Before you go to, please carry this practice exercise. This will help cement the product better as well as help clear the qualification test that you will take to get certified. So, see you again and thank you.